Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my StarOS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 175. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for a weekly recap newsletter 223. So just a quick summary of things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. As is typical, it was just the Star Atlas Brew, the community event on Wednesday. So I'll kind of go over that. But before I get to that, just again mention some of the things I'm working on Star Atlas. Again, you can check out my website, intergalacticherald.com. Great Star Atlas resource websites with some outdated guides because the product hasn't changed much in a year, but directories, recaps, like you're listening to now, and a Star Atlas Discord announcement newsfeed you can sign up for. Also have a Star Atlas merch store at intergalacticgear.com. And if you're interested in joining other Star Atlas gamers who'd love to get together in a community that's not a guild, you can check out intergalacticcoalition.com. So as I mentioned, this past week, Star Atlas did their weekly Atlas Brew, and it was predominantly focused on a DAO reimbursement PIP, a Polis Improvement Proposal. Can't remember what it stands for. Anyways, but before getting into that, they did kind of do a recap at the beginning. The video started a little late. I assume Star Atlas TV, who records, might have just had a technical glitch, but they basically recapped, I think, what they mentioned the week before on some of the things they're trying to get into, what they're now calling this phase 2 of the C4 development. So again, they reiterated the MPC engine that they're transferring over from HoloSim to C4, but they did mention two other features I hadn't heard of yet, but maybe they were always there, but the first time they mentioned it. One was the ability to transfer resources fleet to fleet in C4, which is awesome. I mean, you might have two fleets and you need to refuel, so that was great. And they also did mention a repair function, so that's good, and definitely for anyone who has a repair ship, I assume those will get, benefits if you're a repair ship. So anyway, so that was great information on kind of what they're calling the phase 2 development they're working on right now for C4. And then they did mention a little bit on phase 3, which had been mentioned as kind of crew progression, but they also mentioned part of that will involve a mission system. So again, this feels like many things that were developed and prototyped and rolled out for HoloSim will be coming forward into C4. So I think that's all really great news. So, but again, this was just really kind of recapping. I mean, like I said, there was a few new things, but it pretty much seems like what they had mentioned at the last one. So, and then the majority of this Atlas Brew was to talk about a DAO PIP, which again is a proposal to the DAO related to some reimbursements that Star Atlas, let's see, because this is all legal entities. So this is the development team. Just forgetting how all this stuff's structured. Anyways, it's that the development team paid for some of the creation of the DAO Foundation, and now they're asking for reimbursement of that and from the treasury that is in the DAO. So long-winded, well, actually, I haven't been following this, so I don't actually know what it is, but it's asking, the development team is asking for reimbursement for taxes and setup fees that they did to start the DAO Foundation. But anyways, if you really want to follow this, and again, I just haven't been following it. There are Discord channels strictly related to the DAO, so everything's in there from what the actual proposal is, the discussion of the proposal, other discussions. So I'll point everyone who's interested in that there. But as Michael Wagner, the CEO, was kind of discussing that, he did kind of mention a few things that I think are more relevant for the larger game. He did go over the DAO history, which was great, and I just had kind of forgotten it because it's been many years. But he did mention really the reimbursement, even though it's reimbursement. It is ultimate goal is to provide stability to roll out Zinc and C4. He did say again that UE5 has kind of been de-emphasized, but they really just don't want to have any more staffing reductions as they're rolling this out. So I don't know if you can. He did say that again. It's the DAO votes it down. It's not the end of the world, but I don't know. You can read in between the lines and make whatever judgments you want there. So. But then he also mentioned something about having, I think, again, I'm not sure if the context was if the PIP is approved, then they'll have revenue for 16 months, which would be, well, hopefully they have revenue now. So I don't know if we can make any inferences of how much there. So, but again, I mean, 16 months that's a long time in Star Atlas terms. So that's pretty good. And then he kind of ended with just mentioning again that they're still slated to look to roll out Zynq on the mainnet in 2 to 3 months. And so they kind of ended that larger segment that the voting would be opening soon. And then just as they were wrapping up, they did mention kind of the feature set of Star Atlas that this phase 2 has 5 features, which I guess mentioned some today and some last week. He mentioned them. I just forgot to write them all down. But they did say they're going to freeze kind of after that and really work on bug fixes. And then things that are in this phase 3 would come out later. So actually that's kind of good. And I mean, like they've been saying, the use of AI and agentic systems to build things to help the current developers build more is been incredibly productive. So, but just to kind of freeze features to get bug fixes so we can get out. I mean, now that makes a lot more sense that some of this stuff will come after the launch of Zynq and the rollout of C4. So yeah, so that was interesting information in the end. So yeah, that's pretty much it. At least the things that are interesting me. Again, if you want to listen to the whole thing, you can check out the YouTube channel for Star Atlas TV. And again, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably got my AI summary a couple days ago. So anyway, so just kind of transition on the state of Star Atlas this kind of past week, which again, it sounds like they're still developing, still getting bugs reported, fixing those bugs. Obviously, this DAO reimbursement proposal, causing lots of discussion in the community, so it makes perfect sense that would be the focus. So, yeah, so really not much new. I mean, again, little information, but sounds like just reading between the lines, they have like weekly meetings where people demo what they're working on. So, yeah, so it sounds like it's just steady as she goes development and, just see where things go. As far as my playing Star Atlas, yeah, I'm also on that same thing, still just mining in the Sage, I don't know what to call it, Starbase. Yeah, so just kind of going through the motions there too. So yeah, so kind of just a brief, I mean, definitely some good information. Nice, again, consistency of having the Atlas brew and talking with the community each week, but yeah, not a major set of announcements. So that's pretty much it for my podcast and what happened this past week in Star Atlas. So again, just a reminder, check out my website, intergalacticherald.com. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter of curating all the other Star Atlas content. Of course, all the content that's on my website. Of course, this podcast feed. And then if you want to sign up for another email-based thing for the Discord news announcements, Discord announcement channel news, you can do that there. Again, check out my website, intergalacticgear.com, my Star Atlas merch store. And again, love to get a non-guild kind of community set up at intergalacticcoalition.com. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this week, past week in Star Atlas. Again, I'm Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.